We thought it was going to be a new chapter, a quiet, peaceful one. After everything we'd been through, it felt like we finally had a place to start over. My mom, my little brother, and I had moved into my grandmother's house after she passed. It wasn't easy, but we didn't have a choice. The house had been in our family for decades. I vaguely remembered living here as a kid before we left under tense circumstances, when my dad still lived with us. That chapter ended a while ago. The house sat empty after Grandma's funeral, and eventually my mom decided it was better than renting a shoebox apartment in the city. At first, it felt strange. Dust coated everything. The rooms were cluttered with old memories. The air carried this cold stillness, like time had paused here. The neighbors were few and far between. Some houses looked vacant. Others had their curtains permanently drawn. Mom kept saying it was peaceful, that being isolated gave us privacy. But I knew she was just trying to sound hopeful. We started settling in, cleaning, unpacking, organizing the place. It was nice watching my little brother run through the halls, coughing and sneezing through the dust, but smiling anyway. He didn't understand the weight of it all. He didn't know how much this move meant for Mom's sanity, or mine. A few days in, we decided to repaint the walls, to give the place a fresh feel. It was early on a Thursday when I went outside to check the mailbox. That's when I saw it. There was a plain brown envelope lying right in front of the door. No stamp, no return address. It hadn't been mailed. It was left there, personally. I bent down and picked it up. It felt too warm for morning paper, like it had just been placed moments ago. My skin prickled. I brought it inside to my mom. "Did you see someone outside?" I asked. She shook her head, confused. "No. Why?" I handed her the envelope. She hesitated before opening it. Inside was a typed note, no signature. "Welcome back to the neighborhood. This house is something special, isn't it? Strong walls, solid bones. I've always had a soft spot for it. I used to visit sometimes, just to check on it. I know every creak it makes. You've made a good choice. If you need anything, I'm close. Just wanted to say hello." We both stared at each other. Mom tried to laugh it off, calling it weird but friendly, but her voice cracked when she said it. She folded the letter and tucked it away in a drawer. Later that day, we started painting. Light blue, in the hallways, something cheerful. It felt good to do something normal. I helped my mom with the edges, while my brother smeared paint all over the baseboards before running off to play. That night, I couldn't sleep. Something about the letter kept circling in my mind. The way it said, "I used to visit." Visit when? How? Who wrote it? The next morning, I found Mom sitting silently at the kitchen table. Her hands were gripping another envelope. My name was on it. I froze. "Did you see anyone?" I asked her. She just shook her head, slowly, eyes wide. It was on the doorstep, again. I sat down and opened it. "Owen, you're a good kid. I see how you care for your family. That takes strength. 15 years old and already carrying so much. I've been watching. You're doing a great job with the house. The blue in the hallway was a nice touch. But don't stop there. The bedrooms need some love, too." I didn't finish reading. My hands were shaking. How did they know my name? How did they know my age? How did they know we painted the hallway? Mom told me not to panic. "It's just someone being creepy. It's nothing." But her voice was barely convincing. She didn't believe it either. That night, I locked my window. The house felt too quiet. Every sound, the wind, the creak of the walls, felt like a warning. I kept picturing someone watching from the trees, someone standing out there, waiting, listening. I lay in bed, eyes wide, heart pounding, and then I heard it. A faint shuffle outside my window. Not a raccoon. Not branches. Footsteps. By the time I ran to the window, whoever or whatever it was gone. I told Mom. She told me it was probably nothing, but I saw her double-check the locks. We haven't gotten another letter since then, but now, every time I walk past a window, I feel it. That heavy gaze, like someone's just out of sight, watching, waiting. You never really think anything will happen on your walk home until something does. It happened just a few months ago, sometime between late December and early January. The exact date is a blur, but the chill in the air and the darkness of winter still haunts me. I'm 17, about 5'4", and work part-time at a children's indoor play center. The job's usually a happy place. Balloons, laughter, kids running around, parents snapping photos. I host birthday parties, and nothing ever gave me a bad vibe. Not until that Sunday. That night, I closed. It was late, I was drained, and I just wanted to crash. Since it was a Sunday, the buses had already stopped running. Taxis, too expensive for a broke student. My only option was to walk over an hour to my friend's place, where I was staying the night. The job was in the city, and I lived in a different town altogether. It was freezing, and to make matters worse, I had forgotten my coat at work. I wrapped my arms around myself and started walking through a network of dark alleys and near empty streets. Google Maps said it would take me about an hour and 10 minutes. I was maybe halfway through the walk, somewhere close to 8:30 p.m., when the air around me felt different, off, like the silence was warning me. I was walking down a long, dark road, checking my phone every few minutes. The battery was at 20%, so I was trying to conserve it. According to the map, I just needed to keep going straight, then take a left turn. As I neared the turn, I noticed someone ahead of me. Across the street was a man, mid-20s maybe, average height. He was walking in my direction, but then stopped suddenly at a bus stop. At first I didn't think much of it. Maybe he was waiting for a late bus. But then I remembered, buses don't run this late on Sundays. Still, I tried to convince myself I was just being paranoid. I always got nervous walking alone at night, so I lowered my head and kept going. As I passed the man, I could feel his eyes drilling into me. I didn't look back, just turned the corner, heart racing. That's when it hit me, a gut-wrenching primal feeling that something was wrong. I didn't think, I didn't look, I just ran. I bolted as fast as I could, adrenaline overriding exhaustion. I didn't stop until I was out of breath, lungs burning, muscles screaming. Only then did I dare glance behind me. The man from the bus stop was speed walking down the road in my direction. He wasn't running, but his pace was purposeful, determined. I froze. For a moment, I didn't even feel scared. I felt angry. Angry at myself for walking alone. Angry at him. Angry at life. Then I ran again. I ran like my life depended on it. My body was shaking. Every breath felt like swallowing glass. Finally, I saw the glow of shop lights ahead. A larger road, more populated. I stopped. I turned around. He was standing about 150 meters away, just standing there. Then, he slowly raised his arms in frustration. Or was it disappointment? I don't know. But he turned around and walked back the way he came. I didn't wait to see anything else. I sprinted toward the lights and didn't stop until I was in front of a 24-hour convenience store, surrounded by people. That night still replays in my head whenever I walk alone, and I always wonder, what if I hadn't run? It was a Tuesday night, not long ago, and I was taking the train home after a long shift. It was just past 11 p.m., and the train car was nearly empty. Just a few scattered passengers, lost in their phones or half asleep against the windows. I had my head buried in a news article on my phone, headphones in, zoned out. As my stop neared, I glanced up, and that's when I noticed him. He was sitting at the far end of the car, maybe early 20s, nothing out of the ordinary at first glance. Hoodie, jeans, clean shoes. Not twitchy or dirty, just still. Way too still. Our eyes met for a split second, and he looked away casually. But in that 1 second, something deep in me snapped alert. It was like my instincts screamed louder than my logic. Something about him wasn't right. I couldn't explain it. He didn't smile. He didn't sneer. But I knew he was watching me. Not just looking. Watching. Sizing me up. I quietly slipped my phone into my jacket and wrapped my fingers around my bag strap. I didn't want to act like I was nervous. Instead, I tried to look bored, detached, like I had no idea what he was thinking. The train slowed as it pulled into my stop. I waited a beat too long, pretending to hesitate. He didn't move. That should have been the end of it. But just as I stood up and walked toward the doors, I heard a quick shuffle of feet. The guy suddenly stood and slipped out behind me at the last possible second, like he'd just remembered he had to get off. Yeah. No way that was coincidence. Now we were both off the train. The platform was quiet. The late night kind of quiet where every step echoes like a gunshot. He was ahead of me, walking toward the stairs. I followed, deliberately slow, not just cautious, testing him. Then he did something that confirmed everything I feared. He slowed down, too. Not naturally, not like he was tired or checking his phone. He stretched his arms above his head. He twisted his torso. He acted like he was bored, just meandering up the stairs. But it was too fake, too deliberate. He wanted me to pass him. He wanted me in front of him. No chance in hell I was letting that happen without eyes on him. But then I realized, if I stayed behind him, we'd be stuck in that tunnel alone together. The platform, the stairs, the hallway. They were all silent, all isolated. So I made a choice. I walked faster and past him, staying just out of reach. He didn't say anything, didn't make a move, but I could feel it, his presence behind me, the pressure like a blade on my neck. Even though he kept his act up, that same feeling came rushing back, like every ounce of his energy was locked onto me. At the top of the stairs, I reached the turnstiles. There were 2 transit employees off to the side, chatting. I felt a tiny bit safer, until I realized that if I exited now, it would be just me and him outside. And my neighborhood? It's quiet, too quiet at that hour. He was a step or two behind me when I stopped, dead in my tracks. I turned around and looked straight at him. That broke him. He halted instantly, like a glitch in a game. Then, with the fakest look of, "Oh, I'm just lost," he glanced up at the ceiling like he was searching for direction. Smooth. After a second, he turned around and walked back down the stairs. The opposite stairs, the ones going to the other platform, the opposite direction of where he'd just come from. Either he suddenly realized he was completely lost, or he realized I wasn't going to let him get away with whatever he had planned. But just before he disappeared down the steps, he looked up at me one last time. And this time, the mask dropped. His face twisted into something hateful. Cold, like I'd stolen something from him. No more casual, no more pretending. Just pure, black-eyed rage. I waited where I was, standing frozen. I watched until I couldn't see him anymore. Then I bolted for the exit, checking behind me every few seconds. until I was safely back on the street, walking fast toward home. The worst part, I know he didn't just give up. He probably went looking for someone else, someone who wouldn't catch on.